You casually scrolled through your phone as you sat in the 1A dorm's common area, sinking further into the beanbag chair as you shifted into a more comfortable position. You hadn't known what the rest of the class was up to, but you were perfectly okay with the solace. You sighed, relaxing into the soft yet noisy chair. You enjoyed casually scrolling through different social media networks to catch up on the latest happenings. With you being so focused on school, you had missed out on a lot, but UA was nothing, if not merciless. With the constant training exercises and pages of homework or research to do, you were up to your eyebrows in pressure. It also didn't help that your studying skills were less than studious. You often struggled to keep up with all the material being thrown at you, even with your now consistent effort. You got to a point where you were so desperate to keep your head above water, you ended up asking for help. This was something you typically avoided, as you hated the thought of owing someone, but you couldn't afford to worry about that. So against your better judgment, and the pleadings of Midoriya and the like, you asked the highest-ranking student for help. He hardly acknowledged your presence at first, until he noticed that you weren't moving away from him and shoot at you his typical glare. Although nervous, you took the time to quickly state your proposal before you lost what little attention he had towards you. Please, help me study. I'm way too far behind, and I'll never catch up at this rate. I need your help. You bowed, your hair dangling in front of you as you pressed your hands into your legs as they politely folded in front of you.
What's in it for me?
What? You hadn't expected that. You were fully prepared to walk away dejected as he yelled obscenities to you for even suggesting something so bold. As you lifted your head up to gauge his expression, he merely looked at you. No glare, no sarcastic smirk, just his chin resting on his palm, waiting for your response. I can make a meal for you every day, whenever you want.
How about every day that I help you study, I get to ask one thing of you, without question.
Midoriya, Ochako, and Ida rapidly shook their heads, Ida making constant hand motions objecting that you take the offer. But you were in desperate need of help. You weren't in any position to negotiate. Deal! He smirked before holding his hand out to you. You looked at him puzzled, unsure of what he was asking.
Give me your phone.
He spoke, holding his hand up higher to you. You fumbled around and grabbed your phone from your bag, quickly handing it to him. You saw as he pulled out his phone as well, clicking around in both phones before handing yours back.
I'll text you the later times that are good for me. You do the same.
Okay, will do. You were puzzled, but couldn't ask any more questions as the bell rang, signaling for everyone to get back to their seat. You walked back to yours, giving him another quick glance as you settled into your desk. He hadn't even looked up at you. He was just staring down at his desk, the phone still sitting on top of it, as he played with the edges of his phone case. You didn't understand why he was so willing to help you, but you figured it was best not to look a gift horse in the mouth. It had been about 4 months since that day, and every day, like clockwork, you both would meet up after school and study. The material was still confusing, but Bakugou was surprisingly good at explanation. Even though there were a few times he had to threaten you with a ruler in order to get you to understand something, he was actually a good teacher. Today was the first day since then that you both didn't go study directly after school. You wanted to know why, but also figured now was a good time to take a much-needed break. Still, it was weird not to have his company. Maybe it was your imagination, but you felt as though you both became much closer over these past months. But you also knew Bakugou never did anything half-assed. Maybe he wasn't being nice, but rather just keeping to his word.
Ugh! Get the hell away from me!
You heard a loud growl and several footsteps trampling down the stairs. You sighed, quickly realizing that your peace and quiet would be very short-lived. You looked up to see Bakugou trudging down the steps with an agitated look on his face, while being followed by Midoriya, Ida, Ochako, and the Baku squad.
Come on! You promised you'd play this time if we left you alone last time. I'm cashing in on your promise.
Mina grinned, poking Bakugou in the ribs.
Come on, man. It'll be fun.
Kirishima grinned.
You're all so annoying. I told you no just a week ago.
Bakugou shouted.
Yeah, and now we're playing again. So you can't get out of it this time. And this time, you might even thank me.
What the hell does that mean?
He glared at his bubbly pink friend.
You'll see.
She grinned before abruptly pointing towards you.
There you are.
Who? Me? You pointed to yourself in disbelief.
Yeah, you. You have to play too.
Play what?
Truth or dare.
Uh-oh. You thought, quickly trying to look for an escape. But you were quickly surrounded by Kaminari and Kirishima. Kaminari smirked. But I never even agreed to play, you pointed out.
Don't worry about it. This'll be fun.
Kirishima grinned. Oh, I'm definitely gonna worry about it. You thought to yourself the moment you felt two of them grab one of your arms and pull you into the circle they were forming on the floor. You were definitely an unwilling participant, but maybe this could be fun. With all of your studies, you hadn't had much time or energy to hang out with your classmates. Maybe now would be a good chance to have a good time. It wasn't long before the class of 1A were all joined together. The exception being Mineta, as his dares would also be way above his pay grade. No one was ever willing to do them. Everyone sat together, you only being one spot away from Bakugou. You would periodically take glances away from your phone to look at him as the game went underway. It would be a while before your turn, so you got absorbed in whatever you could think of to stop yourself from staring at him. You found yourself subconsciously staring at him almost every day that you two were together, and you would notice small changes when you two were alone. Even after studying for hours, you would spend even more time together because you would always request his favor right after. It started with little things, organizing his schoolwork, cleaning his room, most of which he needed next to no help with. But then the favors changed a little. He would ask you to cook his favorite meals for him, or something of the sort. But after that, his requests would dwindle down to just one.
Come take a walk with me.
Huh? You stood there confused, wondering why his request was so simple.
No questions.
Oh, right. You desperately wanted to ask why his request changed so suddenly, but it would break your deal. So you simply enjoyed the time spent. Every night thereafter, you would both take walks together, looping around the nearby park various times. Never fully paying attention to the hours spent with this one activity, merely talking about daily events, life, and slowly getting to know each other better. There were even times where you caught small glimpses of a smile from the corner of your eye when something you said had amused him. It made your heart leap knowing that he had such a genuine smile underneath that tough exterior. You knew that each day you were getting closer with him, but you tried to keep your feelings in check as you had no idea how he felt, and it was easier not to complicate this. What you had was nice. You didn't want to lose it. You blinked, looking back down at the bright screen of your phone, your mind snapping you back to current reality. Even though your body and mind screamed for you not to look up, you couldn't help it. You glanced up from your phone just to get another peek at your subsequent eye candy. Your breath suddenly hitched in your throat. You hadn't expected to see crimson eyes staring back at you. It was in a way that let you know he hadn't just caught you staring and looked your way. He had already been staring at you. You felt captivated, his eyes compelling you not to look away despite the embarrassment heating up your cheeks. All the times you had alone together, and he never looked at you like he was now. His eyes swirled with an emotion you just couldn't quite place. It almost made you wish that it was only you two in this room. Suddenly, your eyes were forced to blink as a hand waved in front of your face.
Hey! You still with us?
Mina asked. Yeah. Sorry. You used that moment to break away from his gaze, opting to look at the floor instead.
So, truth or dare?
She asked.
Oh,
You pondered it for a moment, wondering which option would be the safest. You got a look at Mina, her expression quickly changing from sweet to malicious. A sly grin on her face. Your eyes widened. She must have saw you staring. You knew if you picked truth, she would ask you about it. And you were a terrible liar. The truth would come out. So despite the fact that dare was usually out of the question, you figured it was better than being forced into an unwanted spotlight.
dare.
You spoke softly. Her grin only widened and your fears only intensified, feeling as though you had only walked into her trap.
I dare you and Bakugou to go in the hallway closet for 30 minutes.
What the? I think you missed the whole 7 minutes in heaven mark, if that's what you were going for, you exclaimed.
Oh, I know. 'Cause we're not playing 7 minutes in heaven, are we?
She smiled. Of all the times for her to play with loopholes. You sighed and got up, debating if you could make a mad dash for the door and get out of this, but you decided against it. You knew they could easily rope you back in. Plus, if there was anyone you were okay with being alone with right now, it was Bakugou. Just an area with more space would have been preferable. You both walked into the nearby hallway closet without so much as a word before Mina grinned, grabbing both of your phones and slamming the closet door shut. You leaned up against the back of the closet, ducking underneath the wooden shelves above you and looking up at the ceiling, trying to clear out your busy mind.
You look like you couldn't give two shits about this game.
You brought your eyes back down to him, seeing him leaning against the wall to your left with his arms crossed. I really don't. I don't like being forced to spill truths. You look like you really don't care either.
I could care less. I'm just keeping true to my word.
Speaking of, I really want to thank you for helping me study. I know you didn't have to, but you still did, and I really appreciate it.
What the hell are you thanking me for? You actually took the effort to try harder. That's more than what I can say about these damn extras. It's not something to thank me for.
You looked at him surprised, unsure if he could even tell with how dark the closet was. But it was quickly washed away with the warmth in your chest. One you were all too familiar with when it came to him, but you were still uncertain of his feelings. So you decided to keep yours hidden.
Hey, why didn't you say truth?
He asked. You held your hands behind your back, nervously coming up with a suitable answer. I didn't want her to ask me something I wasn't ready to say. I figured dare was a safer option to avoid that.
I see.
He sounded somewhat dejected. Was he upset about something?
So, if I would ask you what you were worried about saying, you wouldn't answer me, huh?
You froze, surprised that he was even interested. Are you asking me that as one of your favors?
Depends on what you say next. I might need to save that favor.
Your heart pounded in your chest, his deep yet raspy voice resonating with you. Was he trying to give you the floor? To just get it off your chest? Did he know what you were going to say? Your nerves got to you, your arms and legs starting to shake. He could hear the difference in your breathing, how it became more shallow and short.
Hey,
He walked over to you, placing both hands on your arms to steady you.
you just look like you've had something on your mind lately. You don't have to say it if you don't want to.
Your lips began to tremble. This was your chance. He was throwing you a line. You could tell him your true feelings and finally find out if they were reciprocated. But the thought of even uttering the words had your heart beating in a frenzy.
Just relax. Time will be up soon.
Somehow, him being nice to you, on top of there being a time limit, only made things worse. This was borderline a nervous breakdown. All of your thoughts swarming around your head at once, screaming that you make a choice. Your shaky hand softly grabbed onto his forearm to hold yourself steady.
Hey, what's wrong?
I like you! You quickly slapped a hand to your mouth, realizing all too late how you just blurted out the words. You had hoped to tell him with a bit more elegance, but it seems your body approved of this method. You looked away from whatever unknown expression he must have had on his face, your heart rate almost slowing to a crawl. I'm sorry. I hadn't meant to blurt it out like that.
Say it again.
You could feel his body closing in on you as you were pressed firmly against the wall. What did you say?
Say it. Again.
He repeated. You were already embarrassed beyond all belief, so honestly, there was no harm in repeating yourself. I like you. A lot. You flinched as you felt the hairs on your skin stand in, his body now mere centimeters from yours, and his hand now resting on your cheek.
I need to use my favor.
Even though you both hadn't studied today, you almost felt like you couldn't refuse his request to use a favor. You slowly nodded so he could feel your response through his hand. What's the favor?
Let me kiss you.
What?
You can't ask questions, remember?
Right. You almost forgot about that. You merely nodded again and closed your eyes, your nerves coming back with a vengeance, as his body now pressed fully against yours, and his breath tickled your lips.
Don't move.
He growled against your lips before slowly massaging into them. Gentle yet hungry pressing of his lips against your own, the softness of them captivating you to return his kiss. Slowly, your motions were in sync, the gentle caress opting you to open your lips slightly. Taking full advantage of the opportunity, he slid his tongue out, gliding it against your lips to warn you of what would happen next, before slipping his tongue in. You groaned, feeling the foreign muscle tie with your own as he pressed a hand to your back, pushing you further into his body. The scent of sandalwood filled your senses as your hands tied into his hair, getting a pleased groan from him. He pulled away from you briefly, letting you breathe for just a moment, his own breathing ragged against your skin.
I'm taking you out tomorrow. Meet me right after class.
Okay. He only let you utter that one word before taking your lips over once more. He was sweeping you away. You never thought in a million years that you would be kissed, especially not like this. It made the whole world seem absent, as if only you two were the only things in existence. The feeling was practically euphoric. That's why when you heard the doorknob jiggle and the door creak open, it sent your world crashing down.
They've been in there for entirely too long. Your prank has gone on far enough.
You heard Ida shout back into the other room. Before you could react fast enough, Ida had already fully opened the door, catching you two in the act.
Oh, my.
He started. Before you realized it, your body had reacted. You were startled, and without realizing how close you were to the shelf above you, your body jumped in surprise, the resulting action causing you to bump your head. Ow! You grasped your head after being unpleasantly separated from the kiss, feeling a large knot already beginning to form on the top of your head.
Gah!
You heard in front of you. You looked up to your horror to see Bakugou wincing, the corner of his lip bleeding, as he used his hand to catch the blood dripping down his chin. Realization quickly slammed into you as you saw what you had done. In your surprise, when your body jolted and hit the shelf, it forced you to bite down onto his lip before you could fully separate.
You moron!
Bakugou growled, turning to Ida.
What? Why I never? I was helping you! Wait. Bakugou, your lip! Quickly, someone grab a first aid kit!
Ida shouted to the others. I'm sorry. Bakugou turned back to you, his heart shattering when he saw tears brimming your eyes.
Hey, relax. It's not that bad.
I'm so sorry. You quickly brushed past Bakugou and Ida, pushing past them with your arm and bolting out of the closet.
Hey!
You could hear Bakugou shouting out to you, but you couldn't look back. You were mortified. Not only did you have a not-so-ideal confession, but you had hurt him. And during a first kiss, no less. Maybe he wouldn't care, but even still, the embarrassment you felt made it impossible to face him. You ran past everyone, snatching your phone back that was placed in front of Mina. You ignored their concerned looks and went straight up to your room, locking yourself in for the rest of the night. The evening came and went, and before you knew it, school was back in session. For the entire day, you avoided Bakugou's glances, ignored texts, and avoided being anywhere near him, running straight back to the dorm once class was over and locking yourself away in your room. Even you knew that this was a bit harsh. You hadn't even apologized for biting him. But you were so embarrassed. You just didn't know where to start. But you knew for tonight, you would have to study alone.